Hi, welcome to our first episode on the How-To series, where today we're going to be looking at how I prep for a track day, what I take with me, where am I actually going for these track days, and what all to do and not to do. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. So what really is a track day? A track day is an event where you can take your own car and push yourself to the limit in a safe and a non-competitive format, which basically means that you can take all the racing off the road to the track and you won't have consequences if things go wrong. So why is it important for us to prep for it? It's as good as me saying that let's take a football to a basketball court. Makes no sense. So what we're going to do is kind of go through what all we need to take to make sure that our experience at the track is going to be pretty spot on. One of the most important things that I like to carry with me to any track day is a good set of tools, right? You get really nice toolkits, and it's really important because when you're at the track and you're pushing your car to extreme limits, there are chances where wheel bolts, bits and pieces, bolts on shock mounts, a lot of stuff can come loose, and trust me, I've actually seen this happen, and that does get a bit dangerous. So when you have your old toolkit, regardless of what car it is, it's always good to keep an eye on all the bolts on the car, just for the sake of safety. Now with that, I also like to take a torque wrench. Now this is really important, and most people don't really give it much importance, because when you bolt your wheel bolts back on, it's really important to tighten them to the appropriate torque levels, which means your wheel's not going to go that way when you're going this way. So it's all a good idea to keep it all together, again for the sake of safety. Now it's not mandatory if you're changing wheels and things like that, if you're not changing wheels actually at the track, but it's also important that when you do, that you have a good backup plan and you're safe, so no one's going to be pretty upset with you. Next, we're going to look at the oils. I always carry a liter or a can of top-up engine oil, because again at the track you're pushing your limits, your engine's consumption of oil is much higher than it would do on the road. So always handy to carry a bit of oil, top it up, keep an eye on your oil levels, especially your engine oil levels, and top it up if needed. I find this quite important, although it's not important. It depends on how you look at it. I carry a can of brake fluid, and actually a bit more than just a can. This is just in case I need to do a brake bleed and things like that, but that's another story, because for that you need a whole different kit. But it's always good to have something handy in case you're leaking one of your brake hoses or something start coming loose. You can always top it up again. Now again, this is for just topping things up. If you want to do a whole brake bleed and a brake flush, you need to carry a complete different kit that we won't talk about for now. One of my top favorites, what I always like, and which I think is a pretty much everyday fix-it solution. Now this is regardless if you're at the track, going for a holiday, or actually going for an off-roading adventure. I always like to carry my three top favorites, which is cable tie, some duct tape, and a can of WD-40. Believe me when I say this, this gets you in or out of trouble. Actually, it gets you out of trouble when you get into trouble. So trust these things, and I always carry a can with me in any car wherever I go. Check it out. Now, a part of your own car's toolkit actually consists of something that's really important, and that's a tow hook. Now, honestly, if you actually look in your own toolkit for any car that you might have, you'll find one of these. Why is this really important? Because when you're out on the track, modern cars don't have tow hooks on them, especially supercars and whatnot. So when you stick these on the front of your car where it's meant to be, it's always easier. If you do have a breakdown on the track, the tow vehicle can come to you and get you out of the track quickly and safely, which is really important on a track day with having a lot of people on the track. You're not wasting anyone else's track time, and you're being pretty safe. So an essential that you don't really need to pay for, because you've already paid for it. Now that we've concluded with our toolkit and our consumables, let's see what's next. Right! The most important aspect of any track day, and the most important aspect of your car, the tires. Let's get into this one, because it's really something you ought to know. So the tires and brakes are two essential components of your car that wear out on a normal basis. So you can imagine when you're at the track, all this stuff is going to disappear like magic with the speed that you do on a racetrack. So it's always essential, at least for me, to carry another set of fresh tires. And if you don't have access to that, at least carry yourself a safety backup, which basically means to carry yourself a set of a tire puncture kit and a compressor. Now that helps you a ton, because in case you have a flat or something goes into your tire, you can fix it and get back onto the track. So that doesn't allow you to spoil your track day, because that's a lot of money going down the drain. Now, what's also essential on a track day is one of these. Believe me when I say this, having the right tire pressures, depending on what track you're at, is really important. It also means that you really use the most life on your tire, which means it lasts as long as possible. Whether you overinflate it or if you underinflate it, you know for a fact that you're biting through your tires much faster than you would do at the right pressure. Now, what those pressures are specific to your car individually. Just like how tires have different compounds, we have different brake pads and different compounds of brakes as well. Now, some of them, it depends on your car and the driver you are, whether you like a sharper bite or a softer bite, whether you like to modulate your brakes or not. So based on that, you can choose any one of your good brake pad companies that you like to choose from your local dealer, and stick them in your car, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to stop you from having a crash. Now, let's see what's next. Now, these are the things that I like to carry with me as well, but they're not essentially essential, but it's handy to have with you. These are jack stands, and this is a jack, right? It's really important to carry one of these, because if you're changing your tires at the track, you need one of these to get your car up in the air, because there are no hoists there at the racetrack, or any racetrack, at least at what we see around us. So when you have one of these, especially a low flow one, especially for our supercars, it makes a lot of sense. Without these, you're really depending on somebody else's tools, which you don't want to, because that really kills a lot of time. And when you're at the track, time is money, because there's a lot of it that you've just spent at the track day. Now, this aside, let's see what's next. Now, if you haven't figured out what this section's about, you probably need to go back to school. And if you're still here, let's get into it. I always like to carry my own personal gear, which means that involves me carrying my helmet, my suit, my shoes, and a nice pair of gloves. For me personally, I obviously have my racing suit and all of the racing gear, where you don't necessarily need that much of it. I tend to use it at the booth, because at that track you're going much faster, as fast enough to, when you have a crash, things can go wrong, and if they do go wrong, it's just to make sure that you're protected as well. Apart from that, I also like to carry a passenger helmet. Now, I have a closed helmet and an open face helmet for two particular reasons. One, in case I get to jump into an open car, then I use my closed face helmet. If not, I use my open face helmet. Apart from that, my closed face helmet also acts as a passenger helmet. Because I'm at the track, everyone's having a good time, everyone's having fun. So you always have somebody that wanting to jump in for a hot lap with you, right? So it's always nice to have your own gear, and you're not relying on anyone else's gear as well. Like I've mentioned in most of this video, that it's always important to have your stuff. So you're not borrowing things, and especially in conditions today with COVID and everything happening, it's always safer and more hygienic to have your own gear. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also tell me what else you think I could take to the track, or what I'm missing, because I'd love to hear back from you. Now that we've got all this set up, let's head to the track.
Whoa, I think you're forgetting something. Not gonna get very far without these, are you?
Yeah, okay. Just don't rub it in there. Right, apparently you never saw that. What I was going to say is, you need one of these, the keys, unlike me, in case you do forget them after getting your car to the actual racetrack, you're not going to get too far, like right now, but you never saw that coming. So, I'm going to use these to get to the track, and I'll see you guys there as well. Make sure you bring one of these too, so we can all have a good time.
Right now. Tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now.